Well, I do this. I'm sure you've probably done this. We all do this. Well, this mistake happens on our home waters most of the time. Okay, we all fall into this pattern, but we can make this same mistake on new waters, especially if we're fishing there for several days. And the mistake is fishing past history. Now, I need to explain this just a little bit more because past history, of course, can help us, right? Bass fishing is one of those worlds where experience is key. But the problem with past history is it tends to make us focus on spots, locations, instead of patterns. So, I could go out on my home lake right here and probably hit 5 places in, an hour or so where traditionally there's a good fish sitting there. And on some days, that's perfect. I'm gonna go out, boom, 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 and maybe I'm gonna get 5 nice ones in 5 stops, and that's great. But what can happen is it kind of forces the blinders on, okay? If we use that analogy with a horse, it puts those blinders on and we don't always notice or see the pattern or the conditions that are really going on. One of the past history problems I do all the time here is I often fish that same depth zone. And when I can just focus and get myself out of that and oftentimes fish deeper in this clearer water, I start to catch a much better quality of fish. And there are times when I will find a school of them, there's a ton of them there, if I can just get myself away from what I have done in the past. Let me give you another perfect example. So if you fish on a great big reservoir, you know that pretty much throughout the year, all seasons, you can go to the end of a point or somewhere on a point and probably catch a fish or two, right? During certain times of the year, you might have a lot of them out there, but most of the time it's good for a fish. Well, coming into this fall season, if we focus only on past history, we might miss the fact that 90% of the bass are, let's say, halfway back in that cove following a big old school of bait fish. So we could stay on the point, catch a fish or two, and might completely miss that or overlook that. Well, here's another example that's just the opposite. Let's say, past history has told us, boy, this back pocket in the fall is usually pretty good, and we go back there and catch a fish or two. But maybe we missed the very current conditions going on right now where we had some floodwaters and now the dam operators have really opened things up and trying to pull that reservoir back down. Well, in that situation, it's going to draw those bass out to that point. They're going to sit in that current and it's going to get the bite going. So there we kind of have examples on both ends of that point versus farther back type of situation. So as anglers, we can do ourselves a huge favor. We can use past history, but don't let past history stop us from really seeing what's happening at the moment, those current conditions. And I know it's tough. I fall into this trap all the time. And hey, if you would like to watch a video that talks about making extra long casts and how we can do that, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.